Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Day's Podcast along with a new video. So this is going to be the time where I am now going to be able to talk about my Patreon. So I have a Patreon now. You guys can be able to look at the link below, like and subscribe actually too. But you can look at the link below and you guys can be able to request, be able to see all my videos from the beginning, including exclusive content that I am now going to be able to put out for you guys to be able to look at and be able to see that I feel as though is more, to be more close with y'all in a sense where it's just like, there's YouTube, yes, and, they have their guidelines, but in the sense of being able to have you guys be able to talk, with me and be able to get more insight on topics that, if we were to go more in depth, it's okay, and be able to say alleged and know that it's okay. So that is why with this particular video, I am pleased to be able to talk about Aaliyah's Age Ain't Nothing But a Number. So this particular video I wanted to do an episode is because I wanted to be able to show the fact that this woman is truly missed, and also for the sake that she worked very hard, and this is from the beginning. And so I want to be able to respectfully be able to talk about the album for the craft of the artistry, and also because I had previously spoke on her last album as opposed to just recently One in a Million. And with this album coming up to its 30th anniversary, I felt it'd be right for any Aaliyah fan to be able to have, a sense of being able to look from the point of view of this album and what it meant to her to be able to persevere and to do more albums from this album. So let's get into it. So this is her debut album, yes. It was worked on, pretty much in the early 90s. But by 94, it was pretty much done. And Back and Forth is the first single. It had came out in April. And, it's something because it's spring, and it's spring now. And so you say to yourself, like, it's getting warm, and you hear it's Friday, and you're just like, whoa, okay, and who's this? You're bumping. And so I can't say that I will talk too in depth about Aaliyah's life or story in this video. But in Patreon, we can probably get into a few things. But as far as her background with this album, she truly wanted to be able to show that she can be able to do her best and be able to just do it with such pride and at such a young age. I'm actually going on 30. So it's just, for this to be 30 years old almost, it's like, it's legendary. At Your Best You Are Love, that's, another single that everybody knows. And, let me just look into the sake of the track list. But before we go into the track list, it was nominated for Billboard Music Award. It was. An American Music Award, a Soul Train Award, Soul Train Lady of Soul Award. It had nominations. So people were looking at her at such a young age and felt, wow, this girl is going off. And so, we have the intro and we have Throw Your Hands Up. And I'm, again, speaking from a very clean point of view. Anything that I can be able to go in depth about, again, we'll do in a separate video, in a separate episode. So, yes, Back and Forth is after Throw Your Hands Up, and like I said, it's spring. So this album is definitely hitting when it gets into summertime because it's hot. Age Ain't Nothing But a Number right after. Down with the Click, you know. Ooh, you know, and At Your Best You Are Love right after. Like, it just continuously through the album you're seeing her vocal ability, where it's going, and where it was going to go as far as with 1 in a Million, because we got to fully see, like, wait a minute, you really you that girl, like, you be singing. And so No One Knows How to Love Me Quite Like You Do. That's, you know, more of a, you know, I like this guy, and you know, he ain't just any guy. Like, you know, we got something going on. And then right after, I'm So Into You, Street Thing, Old School, I'm Down. So all the songs were not written by her, but they were sung by her. And so, you know, getting, you know, to the end of the track list, pretty much, there's that sense of her wanting more when this project is complete. And you can hear it by the end, where it's like, okay, you know, what's next? And I'm happy that we had got 1 in a Million, you know, literally within 2 years, because it was just like, okay, like, hot like fire, you know? So, like I said, this album, it's still a good album. And it just, to me, there was, like I said in 1 in a Million, this was her debut. So there's already those before her where she's already being compared, and you know, would she be able to do it again type thing. And a lot, and for those that were after her, you know, she wasn't just getting that treatment. There was those after her that were just like, you know, they sound good, but are they going, you know, because in the 90s, there was already favorites. There was already people were like, I love her, or I love him, or I love them. And even in the 80s too, but in the 80s it was a little bit more genre-esque. Like, you know, in the 90s it was like, it didn't pick too much into the genre because everyone was kind of fusing over time. Like, it was like, all right, you know, people starting to just kind of make music with each other. And why not? There's samples going. So, like I said with At Your Best, there's samples going. And it's just, she was able to get a sample not just once but twice, whether it was this album or 1 in a Million. And that doesn't strike me as something that can just fall into your hands. Like, you gotta be talented to just be just getting a sample from the Ronald Isley, you know. And you know, she's always been a fan of music. But yes, it's definitely an album that you can listen to. More or less the favorable albums from her, if we're keeping it all the way real, are her most recent, because there was more control of her style, the more control of her sense of where she was in her life and how to be able to depict it. And then, you know, like I said, a whole different video we can go deep diving into with Patreon. But there's controversy throughout these times in these albums, so it's just, she persevered. Like, I give it to her. And she you know, soon was able to understand the game in the sense of singles, and where an album is just as important as the single. Because when you're promoting and doing shows and live performances, yes, you're getting paid, you're getting your money, but then it's like, well, shoot, I may have something else I want to do. So she definitely learned that. She definitely learned within this album and going into One in a Million, like, all right, I actually want to do some acting. I've been doing a couple interviews, but there's, commercials that I've done recently as well. And then I'm on soundtracks. Like she's doing soundtracks as well when it comes into One in a Million from this. So this, for me, is a good album. I will say this. When you listen to One in a Million, you feel the sense of this album leading the way for it. So I wouldn't say that you can't listen to this album without One in a Million. You can if you feel that's what you want to do, but I feel as though when it comes to hearing the sense of a girl very young, a woman young, where she's wanting the world to know, I'm Aaliyah, I'm here, and get into me, in a great way, because it's just, she's just legend. She's legendary. So yes, this was my episode to talk about Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, and Aaliyah, you're very missed, and I will be back with more.